Zechia Matana Chapter 7. It is a universally accepted custom in most countries that when a man marries, his friends and acquaintances send him money to support the expenses he must undertake on behalf of his wife. Then the friends and acquaintances who sent him this money come and eat and drink with the groom during all or part of the 7 days of wedding celebration. Everything should be done according to the accepted local custom. The money that is sent is called shushvinos, and people who send the money and come and eat and drink with the groom are called shushvin. Shushvinish is not an outright gift. Number 2. Shushvinish is not an outright gift, for it is plainly obvious that a person did not send a colleague 10 dinarim with the intent that he eat and drink a zuz worth. He sent him the money solely because his intent was that when he would marry, he would send him money as he had sent him. Therefore, if the sender marries a woman and the recipient does not return the shushvinish, the sender may lodge a legal claim against the recipient and expropriate the money from him. 3. He cannot lodge a claim against him unless he marries in the same way he did what is implied. If Reuven married a maiden, Shimon sent him shushvinish, and then Shimon married a widow, Shimon cannot demand that he return the shushvinish, for he would tell him, I will return to you only for a maiden, as you gave to me. Conversely, if the giver sent the recipient shushvinish for the marriage of a widow, he cannot demand that it be returned for the marriage of a maiden. 4. If Reuven made a large public reception while Shimon made a modest private affair, or Reuven married modestly and Shimon made a public affair, he cannot lodge a claim against him, for he can tell him, I will not do for you anything else than what you did for me. 5. Reuven married a woman, and Shimon sent him shushvinish, and came and ate and drank with him. Afterwards, Shimon married in precisely the same manner as Reuven did. Reuven came and ate and drank with him. Shimon called Reuven, and he did not desire to come. Reuven was in the city and heard the herald in a place where it is not customary to give private invitations, but rather everyone who hears the announcement comes. And Reuven heard the announcement and yet did not come. Reuven is obligated to return the entire amount of the shushvinish, for he knew about the wedding and did not come, or was given a private invitation in a place where that is the custom, and yet he did not come. 6. If Reuven was not in the city when Shimon married, he may deduct the cost of the food that Shimon ate at his wedding feast, but he must return him the remainder of the shushvinish. Similarly, if Reuven was in the city when Shimon married and he did not invite him or notify him, he may make such a deduction. Moreover, he has justified complaint, for he should have notified him. 7. How much should he deduct? These are the deductions customarily made. If Shimon sent him only a dinar, he need not return him anything. But a dinar is the cost of what he ate. If Shimon sent him between a dinar and a selah, half should be deducted. 8. If he gave more than a selah, we must assess the intent of the sender and the size of the shushvinish. If he is a prestigious person, half of what he gave is deducted. If he is tight-fisted and keeps careful account of his expenditures, only what he ate and drank should be deducted, and he must pay him the remainder. 9. If Shimon dies before he marries and dies in the midst of the wedding celebrations, Reuven is not required to give him anything to his heirs, for he can tell the heirs, bring me my shushvinish, and I will gladly celebrate with him and pay my due. 10. Therefore, if Reuven rejoiced with Shimon and afterwards Shimon died, Shimon invited him to the wedding and he did not come. Reuven was not in the city at the time of Shimon's wedding, or he did not notify him. Since Shimon died after the days of rejoicing were concluded, Reuven is obligated to return the shushvinish to Shimon's heirs, either in its entirety or after a reduction has been made, if he did not notify him or he was not in the city. 11. Different rules apply if Reuven died and Shimon married a woman and the days of rejoicing were concluded. If the local custom is to collect the shushvinish from the heirs, Reuven's heirs are compelled to return the shushvinish. In a place where this is not the local custom, Reuven's heirs are not obligated to pay anything. 12. If Reuven died after Shimon married a woman and the days of rejoicing were concluded, Reuven's heirs are compelled to pay the shushvinish regardless of the locale in which they live, for their testator was obligated to pay before his death. If he was required to pay the entire sum, they must pay that amount. If a deduction was made, that deduction also applies to them. 13. 5 statements were made concerning shushvinish. A. It may be expropriated by a court of law, for it is only like a loan and not an outright gift. B. It need be repaid only at the required time when the marriage is held in the same manner as the first person's marriage. This is like a condition of the loan, although he did not explicitly state that he was giving the loan with this intent. C. The prohibition against taking interest is not involved. Even if a person sent his colleague a dinar or the colleague sent him 10, it is permissible. The rationale is that he did not send him with the intent that he add. D. It is not nullified in the sabbatical year. The rationale is that the giver may not demand payment from the recipient until he marries in the same manner as he married. E. When the firstborn does not receive a double portion when the shushvinish is returned to the giver's heirs, the rationale is that at the time of the division of the estate, it is not an actual part of the estate, but rather Rai, and the firstborn does not receive a double portion of Rai, as we'll explain with regard to that subject. 14. When a person offers a colleague money for the latter's, when the latter's financial status suffers, the intended recipient refuses to take it, and the giver takes an oath that he is unwilling and the recipient not accept it. He's unwilling that the recipient not accept it, and he presses the recipient until he accepts it, even though the giver did not say so explicitly. The money is considered to be a gift. The same law applies when a person sends a gift of food to a colleague or offers other similar forms of generosity. The giver may not retract and demand payment unless he explicitly states that he is making the gift as a loan. 15. When a person sends jugs of wine or oil to a colleague at the time of his wedding, he may not demand repayment in court. These gifts are considered to be deeds of kindness. The laws of shushvinish only apply to money. Chapter 8. A blind, lame, or handless person, and simply one who feels pain in his head, his eye, his foot, his hand, or the like, is considered to be a healthy person with regard to all matters that concerns his purchases, his sales, or gifts that he gives. 2. However, a person becomes ill to the extent that he feels weak throughout his entire body. Indeed, because of his illness, his strength has dwindled to the extent that he cannot walk on his feet in the marketplace, and he is confined to his bed. He is referred to as the shchimira. The laws applying to the gifts differ from those applying to the gifts given by a healthy person. What is implied? When a shchimira gives to others and says, go give so-and-so such and such, and so-and-so such and such, then the recipients acquire all the property apportioned to them when the sick person dies. This applies whether he issued his instructions during the week or on Shabbos, whether or not a written record was drawn up. Nor must his instructions be confirmed by a kinyan, for the statements of the shchimira are considered as if they have been written down and transferred. This is a rabbinic decree. Nevertheless, although it is only a rabbinic decree, our sages conveyed upon this convention the power of scriptural law, so that a dying person will not become exasperated knowing that his words are of no consequence. Accordingly, if a dying man says, confirm my statements with a kinyan, we confirm his statements even on Shabbos, for this kinyan is unnecessary. 4. When apportioning his property, a shchimira does not have to say, you are my witnesses. Instead, whoever hears his statements may serve as a witness. The rationale is that a person does not speak facetiously at the time of his death. 5. When a shchimira orders that a gift be given to a fetus in its mother's womb, the fetus acquires the property. The rationale is that a person has unique feelings of closeness towards his son, as we have explained. 6. When a shchimira says, my wife gives birth to a boy, she should receive mana, but if he gives birth to a girl, she should receive 200 zuz. If she gives birth to a boy, receives a mana, and if she gives birth to a girl, she receives 200 zuz. If she gives birth to a boy, both a boy and a girl, the boy receives a mana and the girl 200 zuz. If she gives birth to a tumtum or a dragoness, the child should be given the lesser of the two amounts. 7. The following applies when a shchimira is asked, to whom should your property be given? And he replies, I thought that I had a son, or that my wife was pregnant. Now that I know that I not have a son and my wife is not pregnant, my property should be given to so-and-so. If it is discovered that in fact he had a son and his wife was pregnant, even if afterwards the wife was miscarried or the son died, the gift is not binding. 8. Ownership of a gift given by a shchimira is not transferred until after the death of the shchimira. No one acquires any of the landed property or movable property apportioned to him until after the death of the shchimira. 9. For this reason, we expropriate money to pay the ksuba and the living expenses of the deceased wife and his daughters from the property of the shchimira apportioned to the intended recipients. The rationale is that with his death, his estate became obligated to pay his wife the money due her by virtue of her ksuba and her living expenses, and the recipients of the gift did not acquire what was given to them until after the death of the shchimira. 10. When the document recording a gift given by a shchimira mentions a kinyan, whether it involves portion of the deceased estate or his entire estate, there are doubts about the matter. Perhaps he did not make up his mind to transfer ownership except via a legal gift. In such an instance, the gift would not be effective, for a gift given by shchimira takes effect only after the principal's death, and the legal document cannot transfer property after the principal's death. 11. If, however, the kinyan was made solely to augment the legal power of the recipient, e.g. was written, and a kinyan was performed to amplify this gift, the gift is binding. 12. When a shchimira says, compose a record and give it to so-and-so and so-and-so, give to so-and-so a mana, but he dies before the record was composed and the gift was given to him, the record should not be composed, nor should the gift be given. We suspect perhaps the shchimira made up his mind to transfer the gift to the recipient via a legal document. The legal document cannot effect a transfer after the principal's death. 13. If, however, we say compose a record solely to augment the legal power of the recipient, for instance, he said, give so-and-so a mana, and then he added, and compose a record and give it to him, a legal record should be composed, signed, and given to even after the death of the shchimira. 14. The following rule applies when the shchimira portions all his property unconditionally without retaining anything for himself. If he recovers, the gift is retracted. This applies even if he confirmed his statements with a kinyan to augment the legal power of the recipient. Similarly, it applies whether he apportioned all his property to one individual or to two individuals. The rationale is that we assume that he did not want to give all his property to that person as a gift, and his intent was that the recipient should not acquire anything until after he died. 15. If he retains anything for himself, either landed property or movable property, he has given only part of his property as a gift. If such a gift is given without explicit statement of intent, it is considered to be a gift given by a healthy man, and it is effective from the time it was written. Therefore, it is not retracted upon the recovery of the shchimira. This applies provided he confirms the gift with a kinyan. For a gift given by shchimira that transfers only part of his property requires a kinyan, whether he recovers or does not recover. 16. When does the above apply? When the person gave the gift without making any explicit statement. In such an instance, we assess his intent to presume that since he retained property, his intent was to transfer the property during his lifetime, like a gift given by a healthy man. 17. If whoever the dying man explicitly states that he's giving a portion of his estate as a gift to the shchimira, which takes effect only after his death, there is no need to confirm with the kinyan, and if he recovers, it is retracted. If, however, he does not recover, the intended recipient acquires that portion of the estate. If such a gift was confirmed by a kinyan, the intended recipient does not acquire the property apportioned to him unless the kinyan was intended to amplify the legal power of the recipient, as explained above. 19. Do not err. Should a dying man apportion all his property and state explicitly that he is giving everything for the present, and that his gift should take effect during his lifetime? Such a gift is not governed by the laws pertaining to a gift of a shchimira. Instead, it is like any other gift given by a healthy person. If the legal document reaches the hand of the recipient or the giver confirms the gift with a kinyan, the recipient acquires everything and the giver cannot retract. 19. When a person on his deathbed gives the gift, and its legal record states in life and in death, or from my life and in my death, it is considered to be a gift given by a shechina because it says in death. This applies whether the dying man apportions all his property or only a portion of it. The expression in death indicates that the intent is that the gift should take effect only after the giver's death. It says in life only to settle the giver's mind and express a prayer that he will survive his illness. 20. Even though a person on his deathbed apportions all his property that he is known to possess, it is considered as if he has apportioned only part of his estate. For the shechina confirmed the gift with a kinyan and then recovered the gift is not retroactive. The rationale is that we suspect that he owns other property in a distant country. This law applies unless the dying man says, all my property that is these, or unless it is the common assumption the person owns only the property that he apportioned. In such instances, the gift is considered to apply to all his property. 21. The following words apply when a shechina apportions all his property to other people. We see whether it appears that his intent was to divide his estate. If that is so, if he dies, all the intended recipients acquire the property designated for them. If he recovers, all the gifts are retracted. Different laws apply if, however, it appears that he was reconsidering the matter. For instance, after he made the gift with which he left over part of his property, he paused and then he portioned more, then paused and then apportioned more, and confirmed that each of his gift with a kinyan. If he dies, all the intended recipients acquire the property designated for them. If he recovers, only the final gift he designated is retracted. For this person alone was given all his remaining property. 22. When a shechina signs over all of his property with one of his servants and then recovers the gift of the property is retracted, the gifts are freed to the slave, however, is not retracted, for he has already gained the reputation of being a free man. 23. When a shechina apportions his property because of his impending death, i.e. he thinks that he will die, this is obvious from his words, even though a kinyan is made to confirm the gift of a portion of his estate. If he recovers, the gift is retracted. 24. When a person goes out to sea or on a caravan journey, he is transported in chains or is dangerously ill, having fallen sick suddenly with a severe infirmity. Any of these four individuals is considered to be a person who apportions his property because of his impending death. His statements are considered as if they are written down in a legal document that his property has already been apportioned. If these individuals die, their instructions are carried out. If they are saved and recover, even though a kinyan has been made to confirm the gift of a portion of his estate, the gift is retracted, as is the law with regard to anyone who apportions his property because of his impending death. 25. The following laws apply when a shechina passes from one sickness to another. If he does not recover and does not walk unsupported in the marketplace, the gift that he gave is binding. 26. Different rules apply when the dying man stands and walks supported between sicknesses in which he apportioned his property and the sickness from which he died. We have physicians assess whether or not he died from the first sickness that affected him. If this is so, the gift is binding. If not, the gift is not binding. If he walked the marketplace without a support, no assessment is necessary, and the gifts that he originally gave are nullified. 27. When there is a record of an oral will made by a shechina that does not say that he died because of his sickness during which he apportioned his property, the witnesses are not present to corroborate this. The gift is nullified despite the fact that he died, for his death is not proof that he did not recover. Perhaps he recovered from the sickness during which he apportioned his property and then contracted another sickness and then died. Therefore, the property is presumed to belong to the legal heirs unless the recipient of the gift brings proof that he died because of the sickness during which he apportioned his property. Chapter 9. When a shechina instructs those listening to his apportionment of his property, do not reveal this gift and do not tell anyone about it until after my death, the gift is binding. It is not considered to be a hidden gift. For the time when the transfer takes place, i.e. after the testator's death, the testator said, reveal the matter. 2. A person who apportions his property because of his impending death even does not have to say, publicize the gift. Even though it was written without any specific instruction, we do not assume that the intent was that it be hidden. 3. When a shechina says, let so-and-so take all my property or part of my property, and uses the verb take hold of, acquire, obtain, they are all expressions connoting a gift. Similarly, if he says inherit or receive as an inheritance, where the intended recipient is fit to inherit the property, the intended recipient acquires it. 4. If the shechina said, may so-and-so benefit from my property, may he stand in it, may he be supported by it, the intended recipient does not acquire the property. 5. The following was applied when a shechina apportions all his property to another person. If he is not fit to inherit the property, he is awarded as a gift. He's awarded as a gift. If he is fit to inherit, he is awarded it as inheritance. When does the above apply? When the intended recipient is one of the dying man's daughters, one of the members of his household, or one of the brothers, or one of his other heirs. If, however, the dying man gave his entire estate to one of his sons, we assume that he appointed him as an executor, as explained above. 6. If before a person's death he was asked, to whom should your property be given? Perhaps to so-and-so. And the dying man answers, to whom else? That person is awarded the property. We see whether he is fit to inherit the property. If he is awarded it as inheritance. If not, he is awarded it as a gift. 7. When a convert who has a son who was not conceived in holiness, since the son is not considered an heir, as will be explained in the section dealing with the subject, the convert cannot give the son his entire estate as a gift given by a shechina. This applies to his entire estate and to a portion of his estate. The rationale is when a person is speaking about a potential heir, there is no difference whether when he uses wording that connotes inheritance or wording that connotes a gift. Thus, if the situation mentioned above, one said the convert's son should acquire their property, is as if he inherited his father. It would be as if he inherited his father's estate. 8. Therefore, if a dying convert gave his estate as a gift to any other convert, as matna shechina, the gift is effective. 9. When the shechina acknowledges that he owes a debt of a particular amount to a given person and acts that it be given to him from his estate, his acknowledgement is of consequence, and his request is fulfilled. This principle also applies when he states that a given utensil is an entrusted object belonging to another person and should be returned to him. A particular court belongs to another person. A debt that that another person is reputed to owe him is in fact owed to another person, or in any analogous situations. Even if a convert acknowledges an obligation to a son who was not conceived in holiness, his statements are binding indeed. Even if a person acknowledged the debt owed to a Gentile, the Gentile should be repaid. 10. When by contrast, the Shemitah orders that a gift be given to a Gentile from his estate, we do not heed his words, for it is as if he commanded that a transgression be performed with his property. 11. If a dying man says, my servant so-and-so, make him a free man, I made him a free man, or behold, he is a free man, we compel the person's heirs to free the servant. The rationale is that a servant is obligated to perform certain mitzvahs. 12. A dying man says, generate satisfaction for so-and-so, my maidservant. Satisfaction should be generated for her. She should be given only the type of work she desires, out of all the types of work that are known to be performed by servants in that locale. 13. When a Shemitah portions all his property to a specific person, and that person says, I do not desire it, he does not acquire it. 14. If the intended recipient remains silent and then protests, he acquires the property. The rationale is that the words of a Shemitah are considered as if they have already been recorded in a legal document, the property already transferred. Thus, once the recipient remains silent, he can no longer retract. 15. When a Shemitah portions his property to one person, then changes his mind and apportions his property to another person, the latter person acquires it, but a Shemitah has the right to retract until he dies. The above applies whether he desires to retract the entire amount or only a portion of it, and whether he seeks to retain the property for himself or give it to another person. Even if he apportioned the property to a person and had someone acquire property on his behalf, and then apportioned it to another person, and had someone acquire the property on his behalf, the latter person acquires it. The rationale is that even when a Shemitah has someone acquire the property on the recipient's behalf, the transaction is still considered to be a gift given by a Shemitah. 16. If whoever a Shemitah apportioned this property to a person had someone acquire the property on the recipient's behalf and they confirmed transfer with a kinyan, nothing can be done after the kinyan. He cannot retract neither to give the property to another person nor to retain it for himself. This applies whether he gave his entire estate or only a portion of it. 17. When a Shemitah retracts part of his apportionment of his estate and the entire appointment is nullified, what is implied? If he gave all his property to one person and confirmed his gift with a kinyan to bolster the recipient's legal power, and then retracted and gave part of his property to another person and confirmed his gift with a kinyan to bolster his second person's legal power, the second person requires the property was given. The first person does not acquire anything. This applies whether the Shemitah recovers or dies. 18. The following rules apply when a dying man gives a portion of his estate as a gift and confirms this with a kinyan, and then gives his entire estate to another person and confirms this gift with a kinyan to bolster the recipient's legal power. If the Shemitah dies, the first recipient acquires the portion given to him, and the second recipient acquires the remainder. If the Shemitah recovers, the first recipient acquires the portion given to him, and the second recipient does not receive anything. 19. When a Shemitah consecrates all his property without retaining anything, it declares his estate of holiness or divides his estate among the poor. If he recovers, he retracts everything. 20. When a person conducts a sale while a Shemitah, the sale is binding even if he recovers. 21. Different rules apply when, by contrast, a dying man sells his entire estate. If the money itself that he received for the estate is still in his possession, he may retract if he recovers. If, however, he has spent the money, he cannot retract. 22. Different laws apply when a legal document recording a gift is brought before us and it does not explicitly state whether the giver was healthy when he gave it or whether he was a Shemitah. The giver claims that he was a Shemitah, that he recovered, now desires to retract his gift. The recipient of the gift claims that the giver was healthy and therefore does not have the option of retracting. The recipient must bring proof that the giver was healthy. If he does not find proof, the giver must take as she was supporting his claim. Afterwards, the landed property remains in possession of the giver. 23. Different rules apply if, however, the gift involved movable property, and the movable property is now in the possession of the recipient. Since the recipient can claim the movable property is mine, he is allowed to retain possession of the movable property, provided he takes Ishvos Hesses that the giver was healthy when he gave the gift. 24. The following rule applies when a person dies and a legal document recorded a gift is discovered tied to his thigh. Even though the document is signed by witnesses and mentions that a kinyan was undertaken to bolster the legal power of the recipient, the document is of no consequence. We assume that after the Shemitah had written, he changed his mind and retracted his gift. 25. If through the legal document the person transferred ownership over the property to another person, whether he is a legal heir or not a legal heir, everything stated within it takes effect, as is true with regard to all gifts given by Shemitah. Similar laws. 26. Similar laws apply when a Shemitah has a promissory note composed stating that he owes money to a particular person, to one of his sons, or to one of his other heirs, and he entrusts that document to a third party. If he tells that third party, hold on, this is in your possession, but do not make any further statements, or tells him, leave this until I tell you what to do with it, and he dies before making any further statements, the document is of no consequence.